Sae-ron is haunted by bad memories of the past, especially her brother's words, when Pung-yeon asked her to move away. Frightened, she runs away, trying to get away slowly. Heo-jun, who sees it, tries to chase her and tries to calm her down. They talk. Sae-ron refuses to tell her brother about the curse she suffers from, but Heo-jun advises her to be honest so as not to cause confusion for her brother. Pung-yeon insists on knowing the reason behind Sae-ron's disappearance, despite Yeogwang's warnings against looking for her. When Sae-ron returns, Pung-yeon hugs her tightly, relieved to see her safe. Queen Shim arrests Hong-joo's followers and orders Eunuch Park to monitor her movements. On the riverbank, Pung-yeon and Sae-ron are talking. Suddenly, a soldier comes and says that Pung-yeon was summoned back to the palace by the king's order. There he promises Sae-ron to meet again tomorrow at this place, and threatens Heo-jun to be interrogated when they meet. Heo-jun is upset because he feels innocent. Pung-yeon receives an order from the king to find the crown princess who is suspected of causing his illness and to behead Queen Shim. Pung-yeon obeys, but when the king says that his father has returned and orders him to observe his father because he is suspected of hiding the whereabouts of the crown princess, he is shocked and confused about how to act. Heo-jun saves Seon-deok from Heo-ok's torture. He almost kills Heo-ok out of revenge for his mother's death, but is stopped by Sae-ron and his mother's spirit, who comes to comfort him. Candles at Chongbin Temple are lit as a sign that Heo-jun has expressed his sorrows and feels at ease meeting his mother's spirit. Hong-joo feels pain and bleeds from her mouth due to Sae-ron's candle burning. Hong-joo continues her evil plan with the king, manipulating Queen Shim with the illusion of the crown prince. Hae-ran is there to reveal the trick and make Queen Shim realize it. However, because of Hong-joo's threat, Queen Shim finally gives in to save the fake crown prince. She will release the shaman who is being held and will not make tight security in front of the shaman council palace. Pung-yeon, who intends to give Sae-ron a gift, is accompanied by Sung-jae to the market. He entrusts Sung-jae to choose a suitable gift. They buy a beautiful hanbok and hairpins. Sung-jae took the hanbok at the market. At that time, the seller told her to try it first. At first she refused, but finally she tried it. When trying it, it turned out that Sung-jae's body had the same symbol as Manuel's instructions. Sung-jae smiled, seeing her reflection wearing the hanbok and the hairpin given by Pung-yeon. Yeogwang, who managed to meet Hae-ran, felt calm because his parents were safe. He was given a task by Hae-ran to separate Heo-jun and Sae-ron so that Pung-yeon could see Sae-ron's curse directly. In what appears to be an attack, Sae-ron and Heo-jun are separated, and Pung-yeon encounters Sae-ron, who is beginning to show signs of her curse. When Sae-ron's curse relapses, Pung-yeon is shaken and retreats in fear. Red Cloak also appears and attacks Sae-ron. Although Sae-ron manages to fight with her powers, she is caught off guard when Pung-yeon calls her. In that situation, Red Cloak throws a kunai that injures Sae-ron and makes her faint. Heo-jun and Yeogwang, who see this, try to save her. Sae-ron wakes up with her body in a cursed position and tied up, trying to free herself. Hong-joo appears with a sinister smile, scaring her. Red Cloak turns out to be Sung-jae, Pung-yeon's subordinate. Heo-jun is furious after finding out that Yeogwang threw the kunai at them. Then Pung-yeon appears, still insisting on looking for Sae-ron despite knowing the curse she has. Hong-joo threatens Sae-ron with a sword, but Sae-ron's power is useless in that place. When Hong-joo is about to kill her, she brings the crown prince's spirit to be put into the king's body. However, the king pretends to be asleep and refuses the ritual because he has been possessed by Hae-ran's prayer. As Hong-joo forces the ritual, an evil spirit begins to possess the king and causes Hae-ran pain. Pung-yeon and Heo-jun devise a plan to save Sae-ron. Pung-yeon distracts the shaman so Heo-jun can enter. Pung-yeon begins to attack and a fight ensues between them. Inside, Hong-joo influences the king to kill Sae-ron, but Heo-jun appears and saves her. Heo-jun's touch removes Sae-ron's curse and exorcises the evil spirit from the king's body. Pung-yeon holds off the shaman so they can escape. When Pung-yeon is about to kill Hong-joo, he hesitates because the king's life is tied to hers. Seo-yeoj hugs Heo-jun and asks him to stay by her side. Hae-ran convinces Yeogwang to save Seo-yeoj by making a protective talisman before her body is completely controlled by the black magic. Queen Shim is worried but supports him. The next day, the king wakes up and is angry because his illness has not been cured. Hong-joo blames Hae-ran and Pung-yeon and tells the crown princess that her name is Yeon-hee. Meanwhile, in a hut, Yeogwang and Heo-jun take Sae-ron to meet the half-queen. Queen Shim and Sae-ron reveal old wounds that have yet to heal. Sae-ron, who has just learned that she is the crown princess and the queen's biological daughter, pours out her anger and sadness. She felt abandoned and unwanted, living like an outcast with a curse that had been stalking her since birth. Queen Shim tried to explain that she did all that to protect Sae-ron from the threat of black magic and the kingdom's enemies. She refused to be called crown princess and declared herself as Sae-ron, not another identity. Seo-ah hugs Hae-ran, but she doesn't return the hug because Hae-ran's hand has been affected by black magic. Seo-ah doesn't believe Hae-ran's words that she is the only one who can break the curse and bring peace. Shocked, he ran away. Pung-yeon reports to the king that Red Robe is Hong-joo's follower and must be punished. However, the king, who is influenced by Hong-joo's black magic, asks him to bring the crown princess named Yeon-hee to him at midnight tomorrow. Pung-yeon is very surprised to hear the name. Heo-jun comforts Sae-ron by the lake, assuring her that to him, Sae-ron is still Yeon-hee from the Black Forest. Pung-yeon comes to see them and confirms Sae-ron's identity himself. He promises to protect her even though he knows about the curse. Seo-ah takes Pung-yeon to Chongbin Temple, where she has been living, and lights a candle to remove her curse. Pung-yeon wants to help her, but is pressured by the king's order. Sung-jae, who knows this hiding place, feels that she has found a way. At home, Heo Hoe-hyun is still depressed until her mother persuades her to use her closeness to the king to get rid of Heo-jun. A drunken Pung-yeon complains to his father, Heo-neseo, and insists on loving Yeon-hee despite the curse. At the temple, Hong-joo attacks. He takes out the Book of Demon Extermination and stabs Heo. Seeing Heo-jun faint, Seora's emotions explode, her curse awakens. With her power, she knocks out the shaman and attacks Hong-joo in full rage. But Yeogwang reminds her that Hong-joo's death will extinguish all the candles of life she has lit. Seori finally throws Hong-joo and leaves with Yeogwang and the injured. Hong-joo orders the shaman to chase after them. Queen Shim, worried about the crown princess' safety, comes to Hae-ran and asks her to protect Sae-ron. The king, who overhears their conversation, is angry because he feels lied to about his illness, which is getting worse. Hae-ran reveals that Hong-joo used black magic to disrupt the healing prayers. The king is furious and threatens Hae-ran that if the prayer ritual doesn't save them, he will not hesitate to kill her, and threatens Queen Shim to be involved in this. Heo-jun, who is still unconscious, makes Sae-ron worried. He asks Yeogwang to find his father to make a protective talisman. Yeogwang initially refuses because he is afraid that Sae-ron will be threatened when he leaves, but Sae-ron tries to convince him. Yeogwang complies. Yeogwang meets Hae-ran. Their Hae-ran begins to make a plan to save the crown princess and fix the amulet. She asks Yeogwang to take Yeon-hee and Heo-jun to a safe place. Heo-jun wakes up, but begins to experience strange symptoms due to Sae-ron's curse, which causes anyone who loves her to get sick and die within 15 days. Heo-jun continues to scream in fear. Seo-ah, who sees this, feels sorry for him and wants to leave. But Heo-jun holds her back and tells her to stay here with him. Yeogwang comes with Pung-yeon to take them to a safer place. They take him to Ban village. Pung-yeon suggests leaving Hye-jin for his safety, but Sae-ron disagrees. They all stay and try to survive. Hae-ran comes to the village, intending to help Heo-jun recover. He gives Heo-jun a drink of forgetting potion, but throws the potion into the basin, and says that he wants to continue to remember and protect Yeon-hee. Hae-ran was silent, and felt that Heo-jun could be someone who managed to light the last candle because of his sincere love. Pyongyang met the king, and said that he had not succeeded in bringing the crown princess, and was ready to accept the punishment given. The king of emotions took out a sword and pointed it at him. The king revoked his position as head of the guard and expelled him from the palace. Pyongyang hears Hae-ran's confession that Yoon's curse came from Hong-joo's black magic, whose female magic teacher is himself, and is determined to help remove the curse. Hong-joo becomes more aggressive in searching for the crown princess. However, Sae-ron's escape plan has been prepared by Heo and Queen Shim. Sae-ron is carried on a fake palanquin to deceive the enemy, while she herself hides and undergoes a protection ritual with her father inside a Taoist temple. Hae-ran and Yeon-hee carry out the ritual to make a protective amulet with all their might. After the ritual is complete, Hong-joo comes and finds Hae-ran weak. She tries to save Hae-ran with her black magic, making Hae-ran aware and affected by the black magic. Heo-jun recovers to find the truth about the red robe. He suspects that the culprit is Sung-jae. Heo-jun makes a potion to give to the woman. When he tries to treat her, he finds Sung-jae in pain. He begins to believe the truth. Hong-joo, who returns to the palace, is surprised to find the crown princess already in her room, making her smile in satisfaction as she believes she has one. Sae-ron finds out that Hong-joo is happy with her appearance and starts to show herself. She tries to destroy the jar containing the crown prince's evil spirit, but Hong-joo tries to take it back. With her powers, Sae-ron fights Hong-joo and manages to make her levitate bound. Then takes the jar away to see if that is the only way to kill the spirit. Hong-joo goes to Queen Shim and threatens her not to hide the crown princess because it will make the whole nation look for her, including the king. It turns out, Queen Shim is confused to make a decision. Hong-joo reports the crown princess whereabouts to the king and accuses Queen Shim of hiding her. The king is also influenced. Pyongyang meets Queen Shim to meet Yeon-hee and bring her clothes. The queen forbids it, but Pyongyang accuses the queen of taking advantage of Yeon-hee. Queen Shim is upset, but suddenly the king and his soldiers come to check with the alibi of an evil witch in the room, but find no one in the room. The king is emotional, but eunuch Kim says the ministers are waiting for his presence. In the courtroom, Queen Shim introduces Yeon-hee as the crown princess. The king does not believe it and accuses Queen Shim of using forbidden means to have a child. Queen Shim denies it and is ready to take responsibility if the king's illness comes from the crown princess. She is ready to be dethroned. Queen Shim and the crown princess come out of the courtroom and meet Hong-joo. Queen Shim threatens not to hurt the princess and to be polite to her. Yeon-hee says that today, the crown prince's reincarnation ritual will be held and invites Hong-joo to help. After the reincarnation ritual is prepared, Hong-joo arrives and tries to manipulate the situation, pretending to be sad. However, Yeon-hee reveals the truth that Hong-joo is hiding the spirit jar, shocking Hong-joo. The jar vibrates, indicating that the evil spirit wants to be free. An emotional Queen Shim insists that Hong-joo must take responsibility. Heo-jun learns Red Robe's identity as Sung-jae. He captures her, but Sung-jae warns Heo-jun not to reveal her identity if he wants Pyongyang to be safe. Heo-jun, Yeon-hee, and Queen Shim find Yeogwon injured and the spirit jar missing. Hae-ran, who is under the influence of black magic, hands it over to Hong-joo. When the jar is retrieved, Queen Shim destroys it, freeing the crown prince's spirit. Hong-joo is furious about this and intends to use Hae-ran as her final tool to destroy the crown princess. Yeon-hee gives a potion of sweet dreams so that Queen Shim can rest in peace. In her dream, Queen Shim is happy to meet the crown prince. Because this makes the candles in Chongbin Temple light up, indicating the success of the ritual, spiritually hurting Hong-joo. Hae-ran is about to strangle Yeon-hee, who is praying, but Hae-ran's good side holds her back. Hae-ran gives Yeogwang the last page of the Demon Slayer book and asks him to kill her if she turns into a monster due to the black magic in her. She doesn't want to hurt Pyongyang or Yeon-hee. Yeogwang initially refuses and is confused by this situation. Pyongyang feels sad because his love is rejected by Yeon-hee. He wants to protect her, but Yeon-hee still wants to fight the enemy in her own way. Pyongyang is disappointed and angry. Hong-joo sends Shaman to keep an eye on Heo-hyun because she suspects he is hiding Sung-jae the red robe. Hong-joo influences the king to kidnap the crown princess. She places a black magic jar next to Queen Shim to make her have a skin disease like the king. Pyongyang, coming to Hong-joo's room, surprisingly asks for help in changing someone's feelings with black magic. Pyongyang feels disappointed and depressed. He intends to use black magic to get rid of the pain. Hong-joo approaches him and takes advantage of the situation, offering a way for Pyongyang to get Yeon-hee back. However, the condition is that Pyongyang must kill the cursed Yeon-hee. Pyongyang hesitates, but Hong-joo continues to influence him. Hong-joo performs an evil ritual to make Queen Shim get a curse of illness. The black spirit enters Queen Shim's body, making her weak and unconscious. Yeon-hee finds Queen Shim's hands turning black, and she is very worried. Hong-joo tells the king that Queen Shim will die tomorrow, but if the crown princess shows affection, the curse can be weakened. The king is happy to hear this, but worried, then rejects Hong-joo's suggestion to entrust the safety to Pyongyang. Hae-ran, who is under the influence of black magic, states that the only way to save Queen Shim is to find the murderer's spirit talisman. Yeon-hee, Hye-jun, and Yeogwang are determined to find it. Yeon-hee feels pain in her chest. She looks at the sky where there are shooting stars, a sign that their time is almost up because the North Star will disappear. She faints and is treated by a worried Hye-jun. The king asks for Hye-wok's loyalty to sacrifice herself if necessary. Hye-wok agrees with a very hesitant heart. Hye-wok goes home and tells her mother. She feels afraid, but is forced by her mother to agree. In the morning, the king patrols the palace and meets Yeon-hee, who warns him not to trust Hong-joo too much, but the king gets angry. Yeogwang makes a tracer talisman and finds that the killer spirit talisman is in the king's palace. Yeon-hee comes to Hong-joo because she sees Queen Shim getting worse. There Hong-joo says that the king is the one who hates Queen Shim the most, not her. To save Queen Shim, Yeon-hee must hurt the king, but if she does that, she will get a severe punishment. Hye-jun and Yeogwang infiltrate the king's palace, but are discovered by Pyongyang. Pyongyang is given orders to kill them, but Yeon-hee arrives to hold back. The king became increasingly annoyed when he saw his presence. Yeon-hee was determined to stab the king in the chest, releasing the black spirit from Queen Shim's body. As a result, they were arrested. Pyongyang, who witnessed this, was shocked, increasingly influenced by Hong-joo, who instilled hatred towards Yeon-hee. In prison, Hong-joo orders Hae-ran to burn Yeon-hee with her spiritual power, but fails because Hae-ran's power is weakened. Queen Shim tries to convince the king that the crown princess is innocent, but the king refuses to forgive. In the hall, the king is hesitant about what to do because of the threat he received from Hong-joo. Suddenly, there is an arrow containing a letter from someone who knows the identity of the red cloak and threatens him that if he doesn't come to the forest, he will take the red cloak to the market. Hye-jun carries out his plan to lure shaman Hong-joo out and prove that she is the mastermind behind the red cloak. With the help of Yeogwang, Hye-jun manages to show the evidence to the king and prove to Sung-jae that Hong-joo is trying to harm him. In front of the king, Hye-jun promises to cure the king's illness in exchange for releasing the crown princess. Devising a plan to reverse the situation controlled by Hong-joo, Pyongyang, who is increasingly lost in Hong-joo's influence, approaches Yeon-hee in prison with mixed feelings. Suddenly, Pyongyang is attacked with an illusion of a ghost. He is frightened, but because of that, he learns of a spiritual power that can light candles. Hyo-jun convinces the king that all these problems are caused by Hong-joo, and the king is just a tool for her. The king actually realizes the truth, but he is afraid of Hong-joo's threats. He finally gives Hyo-jun one day to prove his words and forbids Hong-joo to treat him that day. Hong-joo, who comes out of hiding, finds out that Hae-ran-seo's spiritual fire has been passed down to Poon-yeon. She tries to manipulate Poon-yeon into killing Hong-yeon, who is hesitant, meets Hae-ran-seo at a Taoist temple. Hae-ran-seo, who is under the influence of black magic, confirms her intention, making Poon-yeon hesitate but tries to obey. On the other hand, Hyo-jun checks the king's wounds, and is shocked to see severe wounds on his body. If Hyo-jun fails to heal, the king threatens to kill Yoon-hae and himself. To find the cause of the king's illness, Hyo-jun and Yeogwong search for the Book of Magic, and find that the illness is caused by a black spell planted by Hong-joo. When the king was a child, the illness cannot be cured except with Hae-ran-seo's help. Although Hae-ran-seo is influenced by evil spirits, she tries to fight from within and directs Hyo-jun to find the Book of Demon Extermination. Hyo-jun visits the prison with the help of Yeogwong, who disguises himself as a royal soldier. He tells what he found. Yoon-hee tells him to make a truth potion. The goal is for the king to express his feelings unconsciously. Hyo-jun and Yeogwong make the potion in Yoon-hee's room carefully, so that no one will hear. But unknowingly, Hae-ran-seo, who is possessed by black magic, contaminates the potion. When the king drinks the potion, he is in pain and orders Hyo-jun's arrest. The next day, Hyo-jun and Yoon-hee face the wrath of the king, who intends to behead them. Even though Queen Shim begged, the king remained adamant. Yoon-hae defends herself, but the king refuses to believe her. As Hyo-jun resists, a symbol of truth appears behind the king's ear, causing him to pour out his sorrow. He felt the pain during his time as king, whether pressure and feeling unrecognized. Suddenly, the king felt pain and vomited black things. Instantly, his wounds healed. Hyo-jun said that it was Hong-joo's black magic that was planted in the king's mind. Because of this, the candles at the Chongbin temple were lit, causing Hong-joo to feel pain. Hong-joo is presented before the king, with evidence from Sung-jae, who claims to be Red Cloak. All of Hong-joo's crimes are finally revealed. The furious king ordered severe punishment for Hong-joo. Meanwhile, Hyo-ok is also arrested for lying to the king about the red robe case. Hyo-jun confirms that the king's wounds have disappeared. When Hyo-jun asks for a reward, the king reluctantly promises to fulfill one request of Hyo-jun in the future. Poon-yeon secretly enters the prison and frees Sung-jae as a form of repayment. He then visits Hong-joo. But the trouble is not over yet. Hong-joo manages to escape from prison. Queen Shim orders tight security for the crown princess and asks Yoon-hee to keep her distance from Hyo-jun. That night, Hyo-jun takes his leave to find a job with Yoon-hee, promising to always watch over her from afar. But when Yoon-hee returns to her palace, she is kidnapped by a figure in a black robe. Hyo-jun tries to chase after her, but loses track. It turns out that the kidnapper is Poon-yeon, who takes her to a hut in the forest. The hut has been tied with Hong-joo's talisman, then burns it using her spiritual power, under Hong-joo's influence. Hong-joo smiles with satisfaction, seeing her plan going according to plan.